Hi, I'm Zachary Armstrong, and I'm here with BIL's founders and this year's,
co-spearheads.
yeah. And so, what is your favorite part about BIL?
My favorite part about BIL is that if you want to do something cool, there's a huge range of opportunity to talk about it and to do it. We're open to a lot of different kinds of experiences and people who are willing to take the time and create stuff, ranging from talks to interactive installations, to also allowing people who are new to certain types of things trying things out.
I really like the decentralized structure and how everyone is really empowered to do something that they want. And that was part of the original design. And for me, one of the most emotional experiences that I've had being involved in BIL is, so I was heavily involved in running it for a few years. And then one year, as we were starting to plan, the core organizers, we all realized that we simply didn't have enough time, and because we were all running companies and things like that, and so we announced that we were canceling BIL for the year, and someone came back and said, "No, you don't have the authority to cancel BIL." An entirely new group of people stepped in and went through BIL, and like everything worked, as designed. Even down to the core of the organization is very decentralized, and it's fundamentally a very empowering institution.
I mean, I like the fact that BIL has become such a kind of a platform. We have people that are now throwing BILs in other countries and other things like this, and none of them run exactly the same. I'm leading up some stuff going on in Vancouver. We have the LA, we have SF, we have people in Tunisia. And just the simple fact that, just an idea that just happened, you just kind of sparked this instantaneous ability for people to connect. And the type of people who want to connect in this way are the coolest people that I've ever met. So that's what I love about BIL. And
then my favorite part about BIL is the way that it brings a community together. So BIL is this really cool conference that unites the hyper nerds with the people. And they somehow attract people who can translate between the two. And so you find yourself in conversations with subject matter experts and then regular people, and then you gain an understanding of things like quantum physics and advanced topics that you would have never been able to reach on your own. But we have people that are so intrinsically good at figuring out how to connect one person or one thought to another. And it's a community based on that. And so when you have that many dynamic people making sense to one another, so many great things happen. It's like this beautiful little mush pot of ideas. And it's been really surprising to see how many of these actually come into fruition. I come to BIL to get ideas. I come to BIL to get inspiration. But then you also come into BIL to see social good being lived out as a lifestyle. And so you find a bunch of people who are brilliant, but also care, and very progressive about it. Gregor, did you have a favorite part about BIL?
You have anything left to say?
I love to listen to you guys. For me, life is about signal and noise, and the goal is to keep the noise as low as possible and keep the signal as high as possible. And what I love about BIL is that I know that almost anybody I meet at BIL is somebody I'll probably make as a friend in the future.
So this is Christy and my first year being as involved in the planning ahead of time that we have been. And I think the thing that has amazed me today and is kind of emotional is that people have taken an idea that we had in germination and completely run with it and made it into something better than I could have even hoped. This process that's happening right now with these interviews, it was something that people set up, they brought their own equipment, and they made it happen, and boom, we have this gathering happening right now. So I just need to say thank you to you all for starting this up, Reichardt for inviting me in the first place in 2012, and everybody who's making BIL happen right now.
Answer's easy, the friends I make.
Nice.
I'm 10, and what were you doing at my age?
I was playing a lot of baseball. That's pretty much what I did when I was 10.
Now you're here.
When I was 10, I was taking a lot of things apart and not being able to put them back together. One of the things that happened when I was 10 is I took apart our television and couldn't get it back together. And my parents decided actually to continue raising my brothers and I without television, which is one of the things that I am very glad about, because I think that that's what led me down a road of tinkering with things and taking even more things apart. And eventually I figured out how to put them back together.
When I was 10 years old, just when I turned 10 years old, I had an idea to write a story for a book, and I ended up writing 200 pages. That sounds like a lot, but actually each page was very tiny because I had to stay a flip book. And the story was how two people meet in the desert and how they decide whether they're friends or enemies because they don't speak the same language. And so I had to work out every single possibility, and I did like a game. I would just work out, like, what if one was evil and one was good, or both were good and both were evil. And I worked out each of these different stories and all the different ways they would work with each other. And I still have that story, actually. I was recently trying it. And then when I was all done, I went back through and I drew little pictures, animated pictures along the bottom of what it looked like. And so if you flipped it like a book, it was actually a flip book as well as you could read the story. That's what I was doing when I was 10 years old.
Awesome.
Can you please read that story at BIL next year?
I'll have to find it.
So when I was 10 years old, I wanted to be a ballerina cowgirl, of course. I don't know that there's any other choice. So I spent all of my free time working with horses, and that involved a lot of scooping poop and getting squashed and all those things. But I sat there and I learned how to sit there and work with my hands and get dirty and not care. And so as I grew older, I discarded the ballerina part, aged out of the cowgirl part after a while.
You still have a horse on your neck.
You do.
Oh, yeah. I did end up, I trained horses for about 10 years after that. So those skills that I learned in just physical hard work sat there and adapted itself to a lot of other projects in my life, like running a conference for lots of hours. So.
I answered this one earlier in an interview with you, but I guess when I was 10, mostly what I was doing was waiting to get older and grow up and get bigger. That's mostly what I was doing.
We were together in that interview, but I was learning how to cheerlead, and I was playing hopscotch and doing double dutch and the whole like total kid girl thing, and I remember being really uniquely aware of all my friends' feelings, and not just the people who were my friends, but people that I didn't know or everybody else in the world. And so that's where it was.
I don't remember a lot about what I was doing before the age of 12, but my best guess of the fun things were reading and playing with my cats.
Why do you do this to volunteer instead of do this to get money?
So one of the things that we like about BIL is that it, again, going back to openness we want it to be open to as many people as possible. And so if you, let's say, compare TED, their events cost about $6,000, or maybe it's $8,500 now. And so by BIL being all volunteer run, we can keep our costs as low as possible so that as many people as possible can come. And so all of our costs are simply related to things like the cost of the venue or equipment.
So one of the reasons that BIL is all volunteer run is the core philosophy around being equal participants versus having a dynamic of a speaker and an audience. And one of the things that I'm not really a fan of in conferences is you have a speaker who talks down at the audience. I like things that are more egalitarian, where everyone is a participant and everyone can speak on stage and everyone can help out. And I think that it leads to like a more fun experience, and I certainly get a lot more out of it. And volunteering at BIL gives me a chance to sort of like for a weekend be a new person. Some years I'm an MC, other years I'm running audiovisual equipment. I'm learning all these skills that are things that I don't know about and that I don't get to do in my day job. And it's a lot of fun to be something else for a weekend.
I have one more thing I'd like to add. Something unique that I've really discovered at BIL, and I've not really discovered in many other places, is this community that's built because everybody that comes here, everybody that is a participant is needed. Every single voice matters here, and everybody is an equal, and everybody is important, and everybody does have a voice. And so the community that's developed is one that's where people feel necessary instead of entertained from something different. And I love that.
Go ahead.
Well, I actually would charge BIL, but they really can't afford me, so I have to give it away for free.
Have you ever had, aside from BIL, a great idea that's become something?
You're laughing the loudest. Why don't we have you answer first?
Yes. Although it's funny because of all the things I've made, and I've got a lot of famous things out there, I most enjoy telling people about BIL and my participation in it because I happen to love things that I've worked on where there's teamwork involved, and there actually isn't many of that. I have my team, my core team that makes the products together, but it's the idea that I can describe something that we're working on and it's ongoing, that it lives from the past into the future, is why I love to talk about BIL the most. So when I start to talk to BIL about people, when I start to talk to people about BIL, inherent to the conversation, I'm also suggesting they be part of it in the future. They carry the legacy forward. So I actually enjoy this best. But yes, I've worked on many, many products, video games and slot machines and devices for the military and toys. But BIL is what I like to talk about.
So if you look at the early core team around BIL, there's a reason that we decided at one point to stop doing it, because everyone who was involved, the things that they talked about at the first BILs, they went and built those things. They started those companies, they started those nonprofits, and BIL was almost the victim of its own success. Something that I was telling one of the organizers who was very stressed out was that the stress and overwhelming nature of being a BIL organizer is actually the most valuable thing that you're going to get out of this process, because you will be able to go and build things that you wouldn't have had the courage and the stamina to deal with without going sort of through this completely overwhelming and rather insane task of trying to run a conference.
Christy, that bodes well for you and I in 8 years. I think that's, yeah.
So I don't actually build things. What I do is I facilitate connections between people. I've organized other events and conferences. I've worked for various companies helping them with branding and getting their name out. And my primary focus right now is as a psychotherapist. So I work with connecting people back to themselves and helping them grow.
BIL is probably one of these things that's like the most fun for me all year round. I mean, I do a lot of service-oriented stuff. You know, I have a photography business and I'm a web developer. And, you know, those businesses, you know, while they bring me money, I would still rather take the 2 months a year that I take off to, like, work on the BIL event stuff. It just brings me the most joy, like, connecting with all the different people that I get to interact with, which is why I keep doing it year after year. You know, it goes a lot farther than saying, you know, the question I didn't answer before was like, we don't get paid to do this. And the thing is like, I actually take 2 months of my time where I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to really do a whole lot of work these next 2 months, and I'm just going to focus on like trying to organize this event, because to me, the connections that I make out of it and just the joy of like the chaos of it all is really just so fun for me. So I mean, that answers both questions, sort of. So for me, BIL during the year is kind of my most fun, most important project.
So, sorry. As far as projects that you've, you know, succeeded at or commercial success, I'm sort of like, I am not a maker or a, you know, I'm a little bit of an entrepreneur, but it's like baby step entrepreneur. And so I feel like the thing that I've succeeded at is maybe challenging people's perspectives. Because I come from a smaller town in Tyler, in Texas, and, you know, you don't get a lot of new ideas. And so I think that one of the more interesting things that I've been able to contribute to society is not necessarily a commercial thing, but more of a perspective. Because you can sit there and you can find a way to make an idea attainable by sitting there and humanizing it. And I think that that's something that, you know, not only I learned here, but is something that I'm able to bring into the world. So.
Why are you happy to be alive?
Oh, I get to be put on the spot first.
I can go first.
Go for it.
Possibility. I love all the possibilities that are out there. I mean, I wish I could live forever. Todd's working on that. Because there's so many things that I would like to do. You know, I like new experiences and I like novelty, but I also really enjoy connecting with people, and I enjoy growth. And you can't do that when you're dead.
I like that. You know, possibility is a good thing. I mean, I really like the unknown, right? You know, we all like to sit around and talk about like the way things are probably going to be in the future, and you know what may happen. But you know, just not knowing is kind of an entertaining thing to think about, right? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like tomorrow, cancer could be cured instantly. Like somebody could just come up with that, and just the excitement of all of the things that could come.
I really enjoy being alive because I really enjoy working on complicated problems, and every day when I wake up, the world continues to be really complicated and full of problems, and those are things that I can go fiddle with and you know, see if I can help.
Hey, you can die any day. Let's see. My answer is a little more complex, but it basically comes down to this. We are a grain of sand, a piece of a grain of sand in the universe. And I hope to live long enough that we can live longer. It's like leapfrogging. If they can come up with the technology so we can live a little bit longer, then you can live to that age and then jump again and again, and perhaps keep extending it out. Because while I'm fine with Earth, it's a really big universe, and I want to explore it. And so, yeah, I look forward to that as a possibility. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay. That's the path anyways. But we might as well all try. That's it.
I'd have to agree, exploration and discovery.
Yeah, newness, like Alexis was saying, new experiences, new people. There's always something to learn about the world and your surroundings, other people and humanity, and also yourself. Discovering new things about who you are and what you're capable of is really exciting.
And I would say that it's I live in the choice to look for the good things in life, because it doesn't matter what experiences or surroundings you find yourself in, you can always find something that's exceptional about that surrounding, or something that, there is always a silver lining, even if it is, this is going to make me one tough human in the future. There's always something good, and living in that mindset, there's nothing that's not possible. And so it's not just it's not just the happiness of being alive presently, it's the choice to stay happy in the future and to sort of live your life with the possibility, like you guys have said.
Okay. Thanks for your time. It's hard. I know it's hard because you're super important to Bill right now. And so, thanks for all your time.
Thank you, Zach.
See you on Bill Interviews.
Yeah, we can figure it out.
Zach, I have a question for you.
Yeah,
What made you want to interview people?
I thought it was fun.
What were you doing when you were 10?
Yes.
Interviewing people.
Now you have proof.
What's the coolest thing that you've learned today doing these interviews?
About how people think of Bill and how it's changed people's lives.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. See you later. See you.